me?
Yeah.
Okay, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
All right. I was hoping today we can touch on maybe weak fills and a little bit more. So right now we can just do analysis on the pairs that you guys would like. I'm on GJ right now. Which pairs would you guys like to look at?
Okay, I was gonna suggest the Europe Japanese yen.
All right. Euro Japanese yen. All right. So we can actually do a top-down analysis on it. So let's start on the monthly. Let's see where it's at the monthly. All right, so this is the monthly time frame that we're at right now. Price has been pushing up on the previous months, but right now it's not. All right, so let's mark our resistance and supports that are very close to the price right now. So we could say right where price is at right now, we could say there is well, it was resistance. It is still resistance, because if you look at this previous candle, right, the monthly candle, it didn't quite close above, it closed below, and then the candle that's printing right now, the monthly candle that's printing right now, it is pushing down. So we could say price is at a resistance. Let's put it 70. Yeah, we could say price is at a resistance, but if it breaks that resistance, then we can expect price to go on to the next one, which is around this area. And then if price keeps rejecting that resistance, then we can expect price to go, we'll mark the low of our previous monthly candle, because the lows and the highs of a previous candle are always important, because that would direct you, or that's what will tell you where price is going to push. If it breaks the low, then price is most likely going to push lower, and if it breaks the high, then price is mostly going to push higher. So we're going to mark the low as our support, because price did reject. There's a small wick, that means price did reject that area, and then price is at a resistance right now. And then the next resistance, if price does manage to stay above the resistance inset right now. And then if we go on the weekly time frame, so this is the low that the monthly candle gave us, and then where price is at right now, it's actually, you can actually clearly see now that it is a resistance if you look at this area right here. So we can say price dropped here, right, and then it ranged a little bit here, and then it dropped again. So this low, let's just adjust it a little bit so that it's not cutting through candles. We'll put it right here, and that just above those wicks. So looking at price where it's at right now, right, we can say price did break, and we can say maybe this might be a retest. All right. And if it is a retest, right, we can say it's a retest around this area. That means this weekly candle would have to push higher, of which tomorrow is Friday. So it's a technical situation, but if you do look at it, if you look at the bullish movement, right, if you look at this bullish movement, right, we had it was right here, then price consolidated or ranged right here, right, and then it continues to go higher. That means if this candle does close bearish for this week, right, we could see price continue dropping to our previous resistance, which is now support, before it can go higher. But for us to expect price to go higher, it would have to come back and close above this resistance. So we have to see how this week's candle will close, if it's going to close as a bearish candle like this, or if it's going to push a little bit higher and close above our resistance. We're going to look on the daily to see if it can tell us something more tangible. All right, so this is the daily time frame. All right, I'm very glad that our support is sticking. This is the monthly support that we put on the monthly, which is still fine. This is the resistance that we've been talking about. So if we are looking at the daily, we could say we're the resistance, we're the support right here, right? And then price broke out our previous candle, yesterday's candle did close below, right? And then we have today's candle that's pushing up higher. So I'm sure you all have noticed that yesterday there wasn't any volume in the market. Even today there isn't any volume in the market, which is very tricky, because if yesterday's candle closed below, right, it closed below our support, which is pushing price lower. But then if we look at the candle, it's a very small candle. There is no volume in this candle. And today's candle, right, it also doesn't have any volume. It's still in the range of yesterday's candle. That means if we were to mark the high and the low today, when we were looking for a trade on this pair today, right, we wouldn't have any trades right now, because it's still in the range of yesterday's candle, and it's not really doing much. It's not really going anywhere. So from here, we would want to see how today's candle closes, right? If it closes the way it is right now, right, then we're expecting maybe tomorrow we can see price push higher again, right, into the range that we need price to get into. However, if it doesn't and it closes exactly the way it is right now, right, we can actually expect price to keep ranging on that area. The reason why we can expect it to keep on ranging on that area is, if you look to our left right here, right, let's look at to our left around this area. If you look at this area, this was the range, as you can all see. But then it's on the daily time frame. If this was in 1 hour time frame, right, we would understand a little bit, but this is on the daily time frame, and all of the candles are next to each other, and they are very tiny. Most of them, they don't have big bodies, which shows us that price could technically do the same thing around this area. And then from here we might see price actually drop, or it will push higher. So it's very hard to say we might actually get something from this price section today. High chances it's going to close the way it is right now, and then we'll see the same thing tomorrow, unless there's some big news that's happening tomorrow. But if there isn't any big news happening tomorrow, we actually might see price keep on ranging on that area. Now let's go on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so this is the 4-hour time frame. This is the resistance or support on the 4-hour time frame. So let's just move this support a little bit lower, because that's the one that we were saying price broke out from yesterday, right? But then if we look at the market structure right now, right, we can't keep it across the candlesticks. We need to move it to a low, because now this is the low that price has to break for price to actually continue going lower, and right now it hasn't. It actually created a reversal pattern at the bottom. So we're going to look at this reversal pattern on the 1-hour time frame where it's more clearly. But the good thing about this reversal pattern, right, even if we're just looking at it on this time frame, right, if you look at it this way, so price made a low, right, and then it came up, then came back to the low, and then came up. Now it's just ranging around this area, right? It's the same reversal structure that we have right here. See, price came down, it made a low, came up, created resistance, came down, retested the low, and then it came up, and then it actually started ranging before it went further up. It's the same thing that's happening right here. See, that price made a low, retested the low, and then now we have a range that's happening. If price ranges and it doesn't make a new low, we can actually see price go up. That means it's just following the same price action that happened around this area to our left in the past, right? And now it's repeating the same price action right now. But that means price cannot create a new low. If price creates a new low, then it's the reversal pattern is no longer valid. So when I say price cannot create a new low, I mean, so if we look at this low, this is the low that we have right now, right? And then price on the ranging, price is created this low, right? So price can dip down, right? If it's going to collect orders or if it's going to accumulate more buyers or sellers, right? It can dip down, but it cannot close in this range. If a candle closes in this range, it's invalidating our setup because it's now pushing price lower. Price can leave a wick in this area, but it should not close in this area. We can see a wick come down, accumulating more orders, and then we can see price going higher. That's what we have on the 4-hour time frame. So if price breaks this low, we can expect price to go onto this support, which is very likely because we even have clean traffic on our left. So all we need for price to drop is a strong bearish candle that closes anywhere in this area. If it closes anywhere in this area, then you know price is most likely going to drop. And for price to drop, we need a strong bearish candle, right? That's your first signal, and then the break, that will be your confirmation. Retest, if it happens, that's more confirmations, but a strong bearish candle in this area, that's your signal to look for sales or to wait for sales. Some will even enter. But considering what happened on our left in the past right here, right, I would wait for price to break. So I say break, maybe since our low is right here, right, and you want to enter a quick entry, right, or an impulse entry, then you can just wait for price to get into this area. Actually, you see this area, you see where these wicks are. If we get a bearish candle that can close, a strong bearish candle that can close in the area of these wicks, it's a good sign to sell. That's a confirmation, because if price is leaving wicks, right, and it's not closing in that range, then that means price is rejecting. But if you get wicks in that range and then price, and then we have a strong candle that closes in that range of the wicks, then that's your sign, or that's your signal and your confirmation that price now has high chances of dropping. Now let's go on to the 1 hour time frame. Well, before we go on the 1 hour time frame, if price is going to go higher, then you can expect it to go onto this resistance. But one thing you should notice is this resistance, we marked it on the monthly time frame and the daily time frame, right? So price can actually come, right, find some conflicts around this area. Maybe it will retest the range and then continue going up. The reason why I'm saying it will continue going up is because there is clean traffic, right? On this time frame, there is clean traffic, right? There is clean traffic right here, and it's ending, let's say, right here, right? So since this resistance, we are finding it on the higher time frames, it might not cause that much conflict on this time frame, because we already have clean traffic. If it was going to cause a range like what happened around this area, right, then we would have, let's say, candles going down, then we would have some resistance going on here, and then candles kept going down, right? So we would expect the price to come up and then find some conflict right here before it continues up. But right now, price managed to drop, right, without any ranges happening. That means when price comes up, we could get price coming up, and then it just keeps on going up without any conflicts, and then we might actually get the range when it reaches this area. But with that in mind, right, price can also come up and then find some conflict before it continues, because the resistance is still there on the higher time frames. So that's the 4 hour time frame. Now let's look at the 1 hour time frame. All right, so this is the 1 hour time frame. we're keeping this this resistance, right, for the daily and the weekly. But since now on the 1 hour time frame and it's much more clearer, I would adjust this resistance to around this area, because price dropped and then it ranged around this area. Price dropped, it did pull back. Exactly. So you see how price dropped here, right? And then it created this wick. That was the pullback. That was price reacting to the daily resistance. Well, it was support at that moment, but that was price reacting to it. So it reacted to it, but it pushed lower again. It kept pushing lower. That means when price comes up, right, we can expect it to reject around this area, right? And then it can retest this range if it comes out proper, and then continue going higher. That means it won't react to the daily or weekly or monthly resistance that we had, because we moved it down here because price dropped and then it ranged around this area. So we can expect price to go higher, range around this area, come back into the range, and then make the initial move up. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I'm following up with that.
No, I also don't have any. Thank you.
All right. So reversal patterns. Wait, before we talk on reversal patterns, can we do GBP JPY quickly? There's a trade.
Yeah,
I'm just
sure.
gonna do. All right. So GBP JPY. All right. So the structure is very similar to the one on EURJPY. So this is what I'm saying. Price made a support at this bottom, right? With price making support right here. And then with price coming all the way up, right? And it made a resistance right here. The resistance that I'm talking about is this. You see this black, this bearish candle. So price came up and then this bearish candle was happened, right? That was resistance being created. So on this, well, we can't really say trend, but this impulse, right? Let me take my tools. So initially we had price drop, it corrected, and it dropped. So if we're looking at the 1, 2, 3 wave, this wave is done. Then price created support, right? Price rejected our support. It made a resistance right here, right? And then price came down to retest our support. It did not break the support. It did not give us a new low. It pushed higher. That means there were orders around this area, right? And price only came back to fill more orders, for it to continue going higher. So this area, there is an order block. You see this candle, right? This last bearish candle, that's the order block. So if you're looking at order blocks, that's the last order block, right? So price came back, filled more orders, or retested our low, right? And then it went high again, right? It reached the resistance that price had created or previous, and then it broke out, right? When it broke out, it created a new high, which is this high, right? And then price came back to retest and rejected to close below our resistance, right? That was resistance, new resistance that was created, a new high that was created, and a support being established. So when price broke out, right, we know when price breaks out, what was resistance becomes support. That's just our assumption. When price came back to retest and rejected the area, that was the confirmation that this is now support. So this rejection, price close above, that's the confirmation, and that's your signals for buy, because price made a strong move up, a bullish move up, came down, created support right here, right? And if when price creates support, that means it is high chances of continuing going higher. So for price to continue going higher, all it has to do is break this new resistance. So this new resistance is actually I can't really say that strong, but it is significant, because if you look at this area, like if you look at this price dropped, right, and then see this candle went higher, it left a wick, because this is the resistance that price is at right now. And then it did manage to go higher, right? It broke out. So let's just say this week it created resistance. It broke out, right? And there's a red candle that came to a bearish candle that came to retest, right? And then price rejected it. And then it created a new resistance at this area right here, right? So it created a new resistance, and then price pushed lower. It fell and closed below our now support, and then it even tried retesting with that small candle. That was price retesting, and then it eventually pushed lower. So these candles might be very small and they might not have volume, but that area is pretty significant. Because if it wasn't, right, then we wouldn't have these candles trying to retest the area. So we can say when price breaks this resistance where price is at right now, right, we could say price continue all the way to around this area, right, because this is our next resistance, but we would like to see it get to this area. But that area is also good. So if price doesn't get to this area, right, we can actually see it get to this area, find some rejections there, or it might wick up to this area and then drop. The reason why I'm saying it might wick up to that area is if I go on the 15-minute time frame, let me see on the 15-minute time frame, maybe 30. Let's check the 30-minute time frame. Yes, the 30-minute time frame. So this is our 30-minute time frame, right? So on this 30-minute time frame, just give me a minute. All right. So on the 30-minute time frame, right, you can see price. So this was the consolidation, or the consolidation is there on the bigger time frame, like it's a bigger consolidation, but I know that this was the base. This candle broke out, right, and this tiny candle was the retest, right, and that was the range. You know how price drops, or even the other way around, right, and then it ranges before it drops again, right? So we can say price dropped, and that tiny candle was the range, and then it continued to drop lower, right? So we are looking at the clean traffic. So on this clean traffic, right, we have from here around this area, right? So we're expecting price, or we're hoping price makes a strong bullish candle into this area. If price makes a strong bullish candle, something similar to this candle, we can actually see it dip into this range that was created here. Price could dip into that range. That's where we can find our support for it to go lower. So since price is not really giving us the clean price action that we would like, it can keep on doing the same thing it's doing, the up down until it gets to this area. That means we might see price make a bullish candle, close around this resistance, right? Try to retest this resistance. It would have broken before it continues higher to this level, but it will reach this level, because if this bearish trend that's happening right now is to continue, that is where the retest needs to happen. So all we need is for price to push above this resistance to this resistance. As you can see, price broke out here, so price just needs to retest that area for it to continue going lower. That means this will hit, but then the question is, how will it hit and when will it hit? Because if it doesn't push any higher now, then the rest of the day there isn't going to be any traffic, any volume in the market. That means it might just keep on doing the small movements throughout even Asian session. Yeah, even throughout London closing, or even Asian session, before it actually makes the drop. Because this is the area where it needs to retest for it to drop lower. So how do we know that this is a good trade? So remember when we said reversal patterns, So the reversal patterns that I really like to trade, the W and the M. So the W and the M, right, it's just the double top, double bottom. Head and shoulders, that's triple top, triple bottom. Even the W and the M, right, it's all connected to the head and shoulders. So don't let people fool you by trying to learn too many things. It's all the same thing at the end of the day. Because right now, let's say we're looking at the double bottom, right? So this double bottom, it could actually be a head and shoulders. The reason why I'm saying that is if I was to take, let's say price came down, right? It made a low right here, and then it came up. We're taking this as our left shoulder. We're taking this as our head. Price came up, and then we're taking this as our right shoulder, and the price is now going up. Where would we put our neckline? Right here. So now we put our neckline right here. What are we talking about? The trend line at the bottom. This can be a falling wedge, a reversal falling wedge that's happening right now. So don't let anyone fool you thinking that you have to learn too many things for you to understand what's actually happening. You don't. It's all the same thing. Someone would tell you it's a descending triangle. It's all the same thing at the end of the day. But the one thing you need to understand is, why is that price action doing that thing at that area? That's why we have we will just say the W formation at the bottom and then the M formation at the top. So when I say the W formation, right, I'm just talking about this area, this low, this high, and this one, and the price went up. So price will go up if it does go up. However, someone will look at it as a head and shoulders. Someone will look at it as a triangle. There's so many things to look at it. But you need to understand why it happened that way. When we say why it happened that way, price created a low right here. Someone thought it was going to reject this low, right? But then we all know price broke out from this area. That means it made an impulse. It went down. And then when price made a new low right here, it's just creating a correction. And then price created another impulse, right? So that's 1, 2, 3. You had a range, and you have a 1, 2, 3 wave. That can be a completion, like it's completed. So price made a new low, right? And then you have a resistance that's been created right here, right? And then you see price dropping to this low. But the question you should ask is, why didn't price exactly drop to this area? It didn't drop to this area. It ended right here. So that was our signal that price actually has high chances of pushing higher than actually dropping. The reason why I'm asking that question is, even if we go on EURJPY, let me put EURJPY. All right, so this is EURJPY, right? It did the same thing. The low wasn't touched. This low wasn't touched. But if we go on the 4-hour time frame so that we can look at this price action, you see price made a low right here, right? And price touched the low. It did come back into the low, right? Now that's a proper retest. That means this wasn't about accumulating, putting more orders. This was actually just a retest for this range that price had broken out to. So we can say price dropped back, retested, right? And then created a new high for us, and then dropped back to retest again, and then it broke out, and then it even retested here, and then the consolidation, this accumulation area, the accumulation phase for price to continue going higher, right? Because price dipped back into the low. But in the area that we are at right now, price actually didn't drop back into the low. So that means, considering that price broke out in the past, right? There was a range that we talked about in the past right here, right? And this was the retest. And then price went high. It went all the way high to this high, right? But then you have price that's coming back into this low, and then it dipped in the first time, right? That means they were actually filling more orders. So this played out, right? They took some profits out of their positions and price came down. They are filling more orders, right? So they filled more orders on this low, and then price went up to create a resistance. Right here, right? And then it came back lower to fill more orders right here. Because remember, we said now there is an order block around this area. that's where the order block comes in. So because this retested, right? This retested properly, but this one, it didn't dip to the actual low, because we could have seen price making a lower wick before it actually pushes higher. It did not. It just dipped a little bit. That means they might have been filling more orders. So after they fill more orders, price is going to range a little bit right here before it can actually push higher. And if it does push higher, we have clean traffic right here. We have high chances of seeing price get to this high. But for price to get to that high, that's where we need markets to actually break above this resistance that we talked about. So when you look at this structure, right, if you're working with this resistance and this support, right, then we have our M formation right here. See, for price to go higher, that's a reversal pattern. This is a very good reversal pattern. The thing with reversal patterns is, right, the reason why I say you should always like ranges when you see ranges, right, it's because it's either there's a reversal pattern or there's a continuation pattern that's happening in. For you to actually see that pattern, just go on the lower time frames to see it clearly. But if the candles are next to each other, like for example what we saw on the daily chart for EURJPY, right, then that's just a range. It's not going anywhere. But on the lower time frames, if you do check, maybe if we checked on the lower time frames, we would have seen a pattern. So you just have to check on the lower time frames to actually see the pattern. That will tell you where price is actually going. Because when you see the pattern, you can check if it's a reversal pattern or if it's a continuation pattern. So for right now, it's still a reversal pattern, right? For this to be a continuation pattern, we need to see price reach this resistance. And from this resistance, we can then know if price is going to go lower and print a continuation pattern, or if it's going to go higher, and this would be a confirmed reversal pattern. So the next resistance shall tell us where price will head next to. Do you guys have any questions?
No, I get it. Thanks. Seems pretty straightforward.
Yes. So that's on EURJPY. I think I have a minute left. Can I end this session and start a new one?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, sure. I'm gonna end this stream and then I'll start a new one.
All right, then see you later. Have a good day.
All right, sure.